Boy oh boy, do I have a book haul for you. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I have a rather large book haul for you guys, and I am like looking at this stack that I have over here on my book cart and in front of me, and I bought a lot of books in the last like 2 months. Also, a lot of these are from BookCon as well, and I want to share them with you guys. So because I have so many books, I'm not going to go into full depth on what they all are about, but I'm going to show you what they are, and yeah, I'm really excited about this. So the first book that I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you my BookCon books first, and then I'm going to go into like the books that I bought. The first book that I received at BookCon was Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, which, oh my god, this book is so good. I'm coming towards the end of it right now. I did put aside pretty much my whole month's TBR to read the books that I got at BookCon because oh my gosh, I got so many good books. I didn't get a lot this year, but I did get good ones that I'm looking forward to. Gideon the Ninth, I am so excited about this book. It is the type of book that it just has everything in here, everything that I love in here. It is science fiction, fantasy, supernatural horror, necromancers, sword skills, crazy everything, skeletons. I love it all. This is probably one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life so far, and I'm not even done with it yet, but I know it is probably one of the best creations I've ever read. So I highly suggest you putting this on your TBR if you haven't already. And I was lucky enough to meet Tamsin at BookCon, and she was amazing. She personalized this book for me, which a lot of people that got to meet her did get their books personalized and signed. She met Justin also. We were online together, and we actually also met the author of Riot Baby, which is Tochi Onyebuchi. I asked him like so many times how to pronounce his last name, but so I met him also. But Tamsin like looked at Justin and was like, I see metal, I see iron, I see steel. She's like, I think you just inspired my next book. And we were like, what? Like, that's so crazy. She was a delight to speak with, and Tochi was awesome too. We had a great time talking with each other, and we were kind of holding up the line a little bit, which I feel really bad about, but we just had a really good time talking with them, and they're just awesome people. And when I asked Tochi like what inspired him to write Riot Baby, because I knew about this book but I didn't know much about it, and let me tell you, this guy has an aura about him. He is just a delightful person. He is just like a shining light of positive energy. I really enjoyed talking with him, and he told me what inspired him to write Riot Baby. He wrote it out of frustration, and he wrote it out of anger about what was happening with officers wrongfully killing black males, and you know, and not getting any type of punishment for it. And it was just so aggravating. It was a very aggravating time for him in 2016 and 2017. So I am beyond blessed to have an advanced reader copy to read this, because that is something that I feel very passionate about as well. And yes, I am a young white female in New Jersey, but I don't agree with racial profiling and problems in our society where people just are judged for their color of their skin. I have friends that are persons of color, and it affects me, and it affects me even more if it affects them, and that is a huge problem in our society today, and I just cannot wait to read this. It is rather small, but oh my goodness, it is going to pack a punch. I know it. Next book that I have here is All the Bad Apples by Moira Fowley Doyle. She had written the Spellbook of the Lost and Found, which I never got to, but it's a funny story. I want to say I was in the Epic Reads booth or the Fierce Reads booth. I don't know. It was a very overwhelming time being at BookCon, but I was purchasing another book, Vanishing Stare by Maureen Johnson, in their booth because they were having like a 20% off. So I was purchasing this, and if I purchased this, I would get an advanced reader copy of a few of the books that they had. So I had asked the girl behind the booth, you know, what would her pick be between the 4 books that were there, because I was reading all of them and they all sounded great and everything. And she says to me, she's like, if you are a fan of practical magic, get All the Bad Apples. And I was like, okay, sold. I am sold on this one. And when I got this, I did not realize Moira Fowley Doyle had written the Spellbook of the Lost and Found, and I believe another book as well. So I was like, wow, I can't believe I got this arc. So I'm so excited to read this, especially if it has anything to do with like practical magic and all of that fun stuff that I enjoy, because boy oh boy am I excited to read this. So this I'm gonna definitely get to this summer, probably this month in July, because it does come out in August of 2019. I did purchase the Vanishing Stare by Maureen Johnson, which is the sequel to Truly Devious, which I read while I was getting ready to go to BookCon. It was that week I finished it, and I absolutely loved that book. It was what I needed. It was like a Sherlock Holmes mystery book, and this is the continuation of Ellingham Academy and the spooky things that have been happening there. Then the next advanced reader copy that I got in the Epic Reads booth was The Butterfly Girl by Renee Denfield. She is the author of The Child Finder. This is her next book that's coming out, and this is coming out October of 2019. And not gonna lie, I was a little biased when I saw this on the table. You know, everyone was just grabbing ARCs, and I saw the butterflies. Butterfly Girl, butterflies on the cover. This is a gorgeous cover, and I got butterflies on my arm. You guys all know that. So I had to have this. I don't really know what it's about. I'm sure it's a mystery thriller type book, just like The Child Finder. So I cannot wait to get to this. And this is another book that I'm hoping to get to this summer, but if not, I will add it to my September TBR, because it does come out in October. The next 2 books that I have here are from Orbit, and my friend Laura at Orbit was working the booth. So when I went over there, we never really met in person. We just would always, you know, we emailed each other. I'm sorry, I'm getting very uncomfortable sitting here. I'm like moving around. So she had 2 books behind her little cubicle that she was sitting at, and that is this book I am just so excited for, The 10,000 Doors of January, and this is by Alex E. Harrow. And oh my god, this cover is so beautiful. This book is coming out in September, and I don't really know much about it. I know that it is about a girl who takes care of like this mansion, and she just enters these doorways that take her to different worlds, kind of like Shauna McGuire's Wayward Children series in a way, but this is obviously more of an adult novelization of that. I'm sure there's a lot of more adult themes in here, but I am really excited to read this. It is a fantasy, and yeah, I love that. I love time travel. I love books that, like in Shauna McGuire's Wayward Children series, the doorways that open to another universe, another world. I love reading fantasy books like that because it reminds me of the Disney movies I grew up watching. You know, that just it's pure escapism, and I love that. Next book that I have here is Queen of the Conquered, and this comes out November 2019, so I do have some time to read this, but it does have, you know, the snake the fantasy snake on the cover that everyone keeps talking about. I think this is like an island fantasy. I'm not exactly sure what it's about. It really wasn't on my radar until I went to BookCon, and Laura gave me this book and was like, here's a good one. Like, you're definitely gonna enjoy this one if you like fantasy. And there's magic and all of that in this book. So I'm looking forward to getting to this. The cover really is gorgeous. I love the snake thing. I love the serpent, whatever it is, thing that everyone just keeps making fun of. I love it. I think it's beautiful on the books, and this cover is just really beautiful. So I can't wait to get to this one. And then the next few books that I have here are from independent authors, which is huge for me because every time I go to BookCon, I definitely look for my arcs of the big authors and the big publishers, but I also like to visit the independent authors and give them some love. I think that they work 10 times harder than our regular authors out there. And I'm not saying that they don't work hard. It's just, it's a different type of thing. They publish their books themselves. They edit their books sometimes themselves. They pay freelance editors or whatever the case is, but it's definitely a lot more work involved for them because they are more involved. They're not dealing with a publisher that bought rights to their book and is pretty much doing all the legwork for them. So I do not mind buying books from independent authors. I feel like it is very important to do that. So if you are planning on going to BookCon next year, kind of walk away from the main stage a little bit and walk to the vendors area where there are independent authors, because some of their books are really, really good. I just met so many great people in that area, and the independent authors are just great. So I'm gonna start off with some graphic novels from a very, very interesting guy. His name is Ben Goldsmith. He signs it B Goldsmith. And he had written these really interesting books. This is from Source Point Books, which are, I guess, an independent, off independent, I'm not exactly sure, but his covers just drew me in. So these are the Seance Room books. So I'm gonna put that one down for now. But I've got the first 3 volumes in his series, and I just want to show you the artwork in here a little bit. It is illustrated by Kayla K. Valerio. Very cool. Very, very cool. But what really drew me in was Ben's personality and his reasons for writing this book, writing this series of the Seance books. The first one is called The Seed of Change. The second one is La Vuda. Let's look at this cover. And then the next one is The Rules Are Meant to Be. It's like a puppeteer. So basically, Ben just kind of, his inspiration for his stories are kind of, they come from the darkest part of his mind. So people that suffer from depression, from anxiety, from fears, major fears of things, it sits kind of dormant in your mind a little bit and comes to resurface every once in a while. And for him, his way of like therapy is kind of working through that through his artistic works of the Seance Room. So this is really cool. I cannot wait to get to these. And then he has another, I don't know if this is a series, but it's called Beyond the Demon, the Sea. And he had written this as well. And this is, what is this? The art is by Davy Broyles. This is a really interesting comic book, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it. The illustrations are like traditional tattoo illustrations telling the story. So that really drew me in. I mean, this is just so freaking cool. So I was like, yeah, I'm buying your books and I'll review them at a later date. But like I said, I don't really know what it's about. But the illustrations got me. And Ben was a really cool person to talk to. We talked to him for quite some time. He's from Boston, Massachusetts, my favorite place to visit, and yeah, he was a real stand-up guy. So I definitely suggest you checking out his comics if you're into independent authors, if you're looking for something new, a new original idea to read. This is definitely it, and I will leave links to where you could buy his books down below. And then the next book that I have here is from an author, D.E. Knight, and she wrote The Crowns of Croswald. When I first started Bookstagram and BookTube, she emailed me and was like, would you like a copy of my book? You know, I really would like you to read it. I feel like it's something you'd like. So I was like, yeah, sure. So she sends me a copy of Crowns of Croswald, the first book, and I fell in love with the story. Yes, it's very reminiscent of Harry Potter, but it's like with fairies, and it's just really cute. So when I saw her at her booth, I was like, let me buy the second book from you now. Like, let me buy it now. So The Girl with the Whispering Shadow is the second book in her series, and these covers are just so pretty. Here's the back. You want to pause the video, see what it's about, but you can look it up on Goodreads as well. But it's just so cute and so pretty, and it's a great story, and I'm so excited to read it. The one thing that I do really love about independent authors and their books is their covers are really, really nice. They're heavy, and the pages are really heavy, but they're just really, really nicely made. I really love them. They have that like rubbery feel to them. And I bought a little art print, really pretty, from The Crowns of Croswald. Just the colors that she used, like you can really picture these colors in your mind as you're reading the book. She's a great author, so if you haven't read the Crowns of Croswald series, definitely check it out. I loved it. It's great. And next up I have here from another independent author, and that is Stolen by Marlena Frank. I stopped by, this was Parliament Press, I believe. Yes, the Parliament House. I stopped by there, and actually all the authors of the books that they were featuring on Sunday were there, and I felt really bad not buying all of their books. That's like something really hard, and I feel like these booths shouldn't do that, like putting all the authors there, and then like I'm reading like a list of the books and I'm like, okay, I want that one, and I feel bad not like buying all of their books, but I can't afford to buy all of their books. But Stolen is a book about, let me read you the back because this is what really intrigued me. In the garden, nothing is as it seems. It's difficult taking care of a delusional father by yourself. 16-year-old Shale Mallet would rather explore and photograph dilapidated buildings than cater to her father's dark episodes. But when she's kidnapped by a creature who carries her atop a flying bicycle into another world, she realizes this wasn't the escape she wanted. In a kingdom known as the Garden, where minotaurs pull carriages and parties are held in hot air balloons, Madame Clume and her fairy servant Tegan rule over the land with incredible but a terrifying magic. Shale must prove that she is the reincarnation of a long-dead ruler, not because she believes it, but because it's her only chance to survive. With the help of a trespassing fairy and a stothing and a living statue, Shale hopes to outwit everyone. She aims to break the bonds of servitude and finally make her way home. What she doesn't realize, however, is that she's playing right into the hands of a far worse enemy. So this is book 1 in a series, and it just sounded really good, and it has fairies in it. Oh, I will also leave a link to where you can find Marlena Fink's book down below as well. The book that I got was Miranda in Milan, and this is by Catherine Duckett. This is basically a retelling of one of Shakespeare's books, The Tempest, and it sounds really good. It's very short, so this will be a great summer read. It is released. You can purchase this now. I met the author, and she was really, really sweet, and she told me what inspired her to write this book, and she was in Italy, and she was reading The Tempest, and she just felt the need to retell the story. So that was really, really cool, and I'm excited to read it. And next up I have here Joe Hill's Full Throttle. This was unexpected at BookCon. I am so thrilled that I have this book. I believe it comes out in October. Yes, it does. This is Joe Hill's new short story collection book. It is not out yet, and I got my hands on it, and he signed it for me, and I am just... I cried. I almost passed out online when I met Joe Hill. I was just so excited, and I made a stupid joke because he had a Starbucks cup in front of him, and I was like, is that the Starbucks cup from Game of Thrones? I don't know what I was thinking, but he laughed. He thought it was funny, but I did make sure to tell him that his father's books and his books are literally a staple in my household, and I am just so thrilled to have met him, and he was just so sweet. You could tell he's very introverted, but I just can't believe I met him. I can't believe I met him. I'm so excited. And then lastly, I have here The Beautiful, a chapter sampler by Renee Ahdieh. This is a highly anticipated book for me. I am trying so hard to get an ARC of this, so if somebody can please send me an ARC of The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. This is vampires in New Orleans. No need to say more. I have been dying for a new vampire book. We haven't had one in years, and I am just thrilled to read something from Renee Ahdieh, and if it's about vampires, I know I'm gonna love it. And then next I have here some books that I purchased personally recently in the last couple months since I did my last book haul, and that is The Familiars by Stacey Halls. This is an adult literary fiction similar to Practical Magic. There are witches in here, but it's people with their animals, which are familiars in witchy world, and it's pretty cool. I don't really know much more about it. The cover really drew me in, and a lot of authors have blurbed it. It's not really that much talked about, but it is a book that jumps from timeline to timeline as well. So I can't wait to get into this and see what it's about, and I hope it's good. Next I have here Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. This is the author of One of Us is Lying, and I really enjoyed that book. I've read that 2 years ago now, I think, or a year ago. So I cannot wait to get into this. It is a YA mystery thriller book. I cannot wait to get into this, and the cover is so cool. And the title just reminds me of Pretty Little Liars, so I'm hoping this story kind of goes along that lines, because I've been craving some Pretty Little Liars content for a while. Next, I have here These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. This is on my June TBR, so I have not yet gotten to this book, but I will. I'm excited to read it. I think it's going to be a quick read. It is about Salem witches, and I'm excited. And murder. And witchy stores in Salem. I love it. Next two books that I have here is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which I did not read in Enchantment of Ravens, but I think that is going to be in my best interest that I didn't read it, because I'm not going to go into this book with low expectations. A lot of people did not like an Enchantment of Ravens, so I am looking forward to this. It is about a magical library. It's a fantasy. There's magic, there's sorcerers, books in a library. I'm excited. Then next up I have here Teeth in the Mist by Dawn Kurtaguk. She wrote The Dead House, I believe, which was a really creepy book. I really enjoyed it. Here is another creepy book by her. I am really excited to read this. I want to say the main character sees ghosts, and I'm into that. So this I'll probably read more towards the end of the summer, but I had to have it on release day because that's what I do. I've been just pre-ordering books like crazy. So can't wait to get into this book. Let me know if anyone has read this and enjoyed it. If you've read any other Dawn Kurtaguk's books, please let me know down below. Then next up I have here Recursion by Blake Crouch. I have been patiently waiting this book for a very long time. I loved Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. It was my favorite book of the year in 2015. I was freaking excited about it. So now I am finally in possession of Recursion, and I can't wait to read it. I hope it's as good as Dark Matter. I hope it has that fast-paced, crazy thrilling aspect to it. So yes, I cannot wait to read this book, and it was a book of the month, which I'm so excited. And I love how Book of the Month puts their little stamp on it. It's so cute. So cannot wait to get into this. High up on my TBR, probably July TBR. Next I have here The Modern Fairy Tales by Holly Black. I couldn't resist this book when I saw it in the bookstore, and I just finished The Cruel Prince and I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. I will be picking up The Wicked King, but I don't know, I want to pick this up. It's just so pretty, and it has 3 books in here. It has Tithe, it has Valiant, and it has Ironside, all in one bind up. This is beautiful. It's gorgeous, and this is, I want to get this as a tattoo. I think I'm gonna get this as a tattoo. Then next I have here Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. I've heard great things about this book recently, and I want to pick it up. I know it's similar to Supernatural, the TV show, a little bit, and everyone knows that's one of my favorite TV shows. So I want to read a book just like that, and it's quite short. So this is going to be part of my summer TBR as well. Next I have here All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. I've heard mixed things about this book, but more recently I've been hearing a lot more good things about this book. So I picked it up. Another one that's quite short, easy to read, perfect beach read. So I picked it up. Why not? That's all I gotta say. I don't know much about this, but it's Maggie Stiefvater, and I love her writing, so I'm gonna read another book of hers. So my camera literally died, and I had to charge my second battery because for some reason my backup battery wasn't charged either. So I had to charge that just for a few minutes and come back on here, but luckily it died after I wrapped up that last book. But I want to just say that I am done buying books for the rest of the summer, I think, unless I have ARCs coming to me. I do have a few books that I am just dying to get my hands on ARCs. That is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, of course, and A Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I am just so excited for those 2 releases. They are fall releases, and I was not able to get my hands on them at BookCon this year, which is really upsetting. I think they were all gone by the time BookCon started anyway. So yeah, so if anyone has an extra, I'm your girl, send it over here. But on that note, that is it. That is all I have for you today. That was my BookCon haul, books that I purchased haul recently, and also my book of the month. So that is it. I'll be talking to all of you guys soon.